Good afternoon, everyone. Jonathan Davis here with Davis Autosports. We're super excited to offer you a beautiful DAS Stage 6 XJ. A few things to knock out first. This is going to be a very lengthy video. Please make sure to watch the entire video. 90% of the emails that we receive are answered in the video and the content. We'll also put a link in the description below where you can go to our website and get a lot more information other than this particular video. Pictures, full build sheet. It's going to be impossible to go through every single thing we did on this 18-month build. That leads me to my second thing. We are currently about 2 years booked, actually closer to 2.5 years booked in custom builds that we're currently doing for about 16 clients. Because of that, our Jeeps rarely make it to market. When they do make it to market, they're not fully built like this. They're Jeeps that we just got in inventory and we list them for sale with different ways to build it. So we haven't listed a fully built Jeep like this in probably a year and a half. With that said, this particular Stage 6 DAS XJ has a little less than 2,000 miles. We sold it to a high-ranking military guy. He's garage kept the Jeep. It looks in the exact same condition that we sold it to him in. He emailed us about 3 weeks ago saying he's getting ready to get stationed overseas for about 2 to 3 years, and he was going back and forth on putting it in storage. And he just sort of reached out to us, and being that this is one of our favorite XJs that we've ever built, we gladly took it back. And we've built hundreds and hundreds of XJs here. We have 2 in the shop currently right now with LS engines. This is, in my opinion, for all XJs by my shop and other ones on the market, we've seen them all. This is, in my opinion, the most thoroughly built XJ that exists. Now, I'm not saying it's the best off-roading XJ. It's not the fastest. It's not the fill in the blank. This thing wasn't built for one thing in mind. It wasn't a rock crawler. When you go through the entire build on this thing from front to back, the man hours, the drivability, the attention to detail, that's when I say it's the most thoroughly built. There's no components, there's no part of this Jeep that wasn't redone, done better than stock, but with comfort and drivability in mind. We'll go over a lot of different things in this video. I'll try to section them off so we don't go too crazy. So we'll start off with the paint first. This Jeep has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of man hours. It is a Toyota concrete gray XJ, complete color change. We disassembled the entire Jeep. Every single panel on this Jeep came off the Jeep. The only thing that remained on the Jeep was the rear quarter panels and the roof. Every panel was painted all the way around, so there's 0 tape lines. We'll show you, instead of showing you both sides, I'm just going to show you the driver's side. It carries on to the passenger side. All the weather seal was removed. You will see absolutely 0 remnants of any other paint color on this entire Jeep. So in addition, when we paint the Jeep itself with all the panels off, we then go through, and if you look at the finish of that, we then buff and wet sand even the pillars, the door jambs, and this continues all the way through. So a paint job like this, if you were to go to a shop that's capable of doing it and getting it done, I mean, there's shops around this country that would charge upwards of 20 to 25 grand for a paint job like this. That paint wraps all the way around, so door panel, of course, comes off. So it's insane the amount of hours that we have in this particular paint job. You'll see many things are color coded to the Jeep as well. Rock sliders, these fender flares, which we have received hundreds and hundreds of emails. We've only done these flares on 2 Jeeps because of the amount of time everyone asks what kind of flares they are. They're actually bushwhacker flares. They don't look like it because they're flat. Bushwhackers are textured, a lot like this bumper, a little bit more. And in order to paint them, we have to sand them completely flat, but be very careful because they are plastic, not to burn any edges or you know, disform them, if you will. So very, very tedious hand sanding, and that continues on the backside as well, completely flat. You can just get a glimpse of how clean this thing is as well. We'll have 2 to 3 days in prepping each flare, and the end result is just absolutely beautiful. Just take a note on these flares as we make our walk around. Every piece of glass was removed, including the doors, the rear quarter glass. All new glass and seals were put back on, so there's no tape lines. There's no behind every single seal, the paint is all the way through into the crack, and even that, we sand all that away so that paint goes all the way through. Door handles obviously removed, rear glass removed. So as you see, lights are obviously removed, paint continues. The rear gate, the inside bezels are all removed, hinges are removed, soda blasted, painted, reinstalled. We have a lot of video footage of a similar repaint that we did on an army green Cherokee. But if you also just look at the finish, so a lot of body shops that repaint inner door panels, they don't put as much prep work into the panels that aren't shown. So you'll see the paint on the outside of the door look great, and then when you open the door, you'll see a lot of orange peel, a lot of sand marks from a lack of prep. We spend equal time on prep on any part, even the parts that aren't exposed. I mean, if you look inside that crack right there, look at the finish of that paint. This goes throughout even more than what you're seeing, underneath the panels, just absolutely everywhere. These paint jobs, when we do them like this, they're actually much better than a factory paint for many reasons. Number one, our method, our quality of paint. So just real quick as we wrap up the paint itself. So the body panels get stripped all the way down to bare metal. From there, we spray 2K primer. We block it completely flat. We spray another coat of 2K primer, block it down completely flat. And then many times, and this one got it, a third coat and block down. That process, each priming and block, is about 4 to 5 days at a minimum with 2 guys. We then apply a seal, and then 2 coats of the base color, and then 3 coats of the clear. We do 2 coats pretty much back to back, let it dry, sand it down, and then do a third coat. So that gives the paint a ton of depth. It's really hard to see on camera, but the paint has a depth because there's so much clear coat. And what that also does is it gives us the ability to knock down the clear with a 1500 grit to wet sand and buff it to get that completely flat mirror finish. That's why I said earlier in the video, a paint job like this, you know, can easily cost 25 grand. And there's some body shops that would easily charge more depending on where they are. If someone lives in California, they bring a Ferrari or a Lamborghini into a shop, this is something they could easily get away charging 50 grand for. There's zero exaggeration there. If you just look at how flat that paint is there, that's an area that just got hand sanded, and then after it was painted, got buffed, and that just carries on throughout every single section. This particular Jeep, we currently have in our shop being built. We've had people see this Jeep, and obviously it wasn't available at the time, and we've duplicated this Jeep with different colors but very similar build. We have one right now that's almost wrapped up in a Calvary blue, so this is a very high demand setup right here. Exterior, we'll go through all the obvious stuff. As you see, front setup, all nice top of the line stuff, Warren synthetic 10,000 pound winch. Everything was color matched by us as well. Look how smooth it turned out. I mean, our body shop does phenomenal work here. Color matched the driving lights as well. Authentic truck light, LED lights. All the lights on here are name brand top of the line lights. Factor 55 Pro Link right there. Just a beautiful, beautiful setup. The black that you see is our Kevlar package. As you see, when that sun hits it, it's what we like about this Kevlar. It lays down really, really flat. Obviously, it's textured, but it's not a bed liner. You could use it as a bed liner, but most bed liners are more gritty. They have larger rock in it, if you will, and this just lays down absolutely beautiful. So we have that, as you see, on the hood, the cowl, the roof. I mentioned the Bushwhacker flares earlier. A ton of time in those, but if you just look at those, that's one of the things that really makes this Jeep stand out. Usually those are black, but that color key gives it a completely custom look. You won't find any other Jeep, because the amount of prep work it takes, no shop's going to do it. And we've had people want us to send us their flares, but they would have to pay so much just because of the amount of hours that go into them. Beautiful, once again, color match side steps, or excuse me, rocker rail guards right there. All the little bits that are color key just really tie everything together nicely on this Jeep. All LED lights and bulbs throughout, exterior and interior. 50-inch single row black LED light bar up top. Defender rack. Rear tire carrier with a built-in hitch. Those lights in the bumper are currently set up. Anytime the Jeep goes into reverse, both rear bumper lights automatically come on. As soon as you come out of reverse, they automatically come off. Helps out tremendously, just because the factory setup lights, even LED, don't illuminate. So especially when you have a camera, it helps out big time. Not one single dent or ding or scratch on this truck. The gentleman that bought it kept it garage, kept it covered. And I spent a lot of time when he called us, and he emailed us initially, then we reached out by phone to get everything wrapped up. But I didn't even ask for pictures of the Jeep, just because I known him since dealing with him. OCD guy, I say that in a good way. There was no hesitation, and this thing looks just like it did when it left our shop, with just an additional 2,000 miles. It honestly looks like it doesn't have any miles that were put on it. A lot of little small things were done when we did the exterior as well. Obviously, for example, stuff with the lights, all new hardware, wiper blades, arms, all that stuff. Door handles new. So the entire exterior is pretty much new. The glass up front and the rear all stayed the same. Front and rear glass is new, rear gate glass. Wheels and tires, these are a one-off wheel that we did here in a beautiful red. You really have to see these in person too to really get a good idea how nice they look. But they just really go well with this gray. And that same exact color is carried through, as I'm sure you guys are familiar. ARB diff covers typically come red. It's more like a fire engine, fire hydrant red. But if you look at the red, it's the same exact finish. We had them all done at the same place. So everything's color keyed that is red is all the same red. Makes everything look nice. So these should be a 295/70/17. Nitto Trail Grappler tire. We have our Kevlar on the side as well. And just for a little bit of protection right there. Super, super clean. Suspension, this is a full long arm 4.5 to 5.5 inch lift depending on how you want to set it up. All Fox suspension all the way around. Up front we have 1-ton steering, so everything's been upgraded up front. Rubicon Express track bar, Rubicon Express heavy duty, those are actually extreme duty, quick disconnect sway bar end links. We have full ARB front and rear air lockers. We have Yukon chromoly internal axles as well. 456 Yukon gears, rebuilds in the differentials. So everything that you see up front has been fully upgraded. It's all top of the line stuff. Brakes have all been done as well. Slotted, those are drilled and slotted brakes. New calipers, new pads. Also converted the rear brakes to full disc brakes, so upgraded. Obviously they come with drums and shoes from the factory, so we even upgraded in addition to a disc brake setup, upgraded the rear rotor to a slotted rotor as you see. So finishing with the drive line, of course, everything wraps around to the back. Same gig, powder coated ARB to match the wheels. 456s, upgraded rear axles as well, ARB lockers. Drive shafts underneath have been upgraded as well, slip yoke eliminator, all stainless steel brake lines, full upgraded exhaust. We have high flow catalytic converters, new O2 sensors, full exhaust system, and it does have our custom piping that we do, nice and tight out of the corner, super clean looking. Underneath of this Jeep is extremely clean. I know there's going to be a lot of other components on the bottom of the Jeep, for example, bump stops, front and rear, sway bar end links, bushings, all that stuff is all brand new. But like I said, in the description on our website, we're going to have all that information. We'll get to the engine, but for those that are curious, all new engine as well. So for the interior, when we started, it was completely gutted. Everything was removed from the Jeep. So starting from the floor pans up, full dyno-mat floor pans. So everything's been dyno-matted, all brand new carpet. The carpet that we use, it's extra thick backing behind it, insulation. So you have like a triple layer underneath the carpet between the dyno-mat, the insulation, and the backing. So carpet goes down. We have our brand new seats that we do here in house. These are a two-tone seat. It's going to be a little bit hard to pick up, but you have a charcoal gray exterior or outer portion, and then a black insert. All the bolsters have been rebuilt. This is all stuff we do here in house. These are heated seats, high and low settings as well. So you have your heated seat buttons right here, your front and rear roof lights up top. You have your ARB front and rear and compressor, easy access right there. All the door hinges and everything like that have also been upgraded. As you see, LED lighting inside, brand new headliner, of course, WeatherTech floor liners. On this one we did a double stitching with a double pipe. Sometimes we change that up from time to time. These are Polk DB speakers. They sound really, really good. Front and rear speakers. Did the rear pockets as well. continuation of all the paint. So on our bolsters, you know, these XJs from years of people sliding in and out, as you see my hand elevates right there, these bolsters become flat. So when we take off the factory skins, before we putting our new leather seats on, we rebuild and reshape all these bolsters. So when you get in these seats, as you see, they have a lot of support. They feel really, really good. So this Jeep did leave, we also have a full alarm remote start combination, but this Jeep did leave here with a full navigation setup. The owner, what he did is he actually removed that and put in a iPod setup. So it's LTE, Google Maps, all that sort of stuff. So all you would have to do, it does work as it should. You would just have to get it hooked up to your LTE network, whether it's AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever the case may be. Next to the steering column is your volume knob, and then underneath the seat is the actual control panel for that. It's a really nice setup having that compared to a typical radio setup, but you know, it's preference either way. If you want that in there, we'll keep it in there. If you want a different setup, we can easily accommodate that as well. Once again, just beautiful, beautiful paintwork. Drivability on this thing, between the 456 gears, the hood's popped right now, FYI. Slip yoke eliminator, drive shafts. I mean, this thing drives absolutely awesome. It's something that you can drive from Virginia to California. The cooling's been upgraded, so this thing drives phenomenal. Obviously, it's very capable. It's not a rock crawler. That's not what we build here. We build vehicles that are meant to be driven on the road. They can be daily driven. They're beautiful. There's nothing left undone, and they're also capable depending on what stage. But with this particular setup, with the 1 ton, the lockers, there's nothing the average to above average, you know, off-roader can't do in this. You see people with 4.5-inch short arms with cut out fenders, you know, tearing it up out there. So this thing's absolutely more than capable. Just because it's pretty doesn't mean it's not capable. I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood real quick. So continuing on with our paint, obviously back side of the hood was painted as well. So there's so many components that we still haven't discussed yet. So the entire engine, top to bottom, is brand new. Our engines consist of reusing, they don't make the 4.0 iron block anymore. So that's the only thing that has maintained stock is the block. But from pistons, rings, rods, camshaft, crankshaft, cylinder heads, all that stuff internally is all brand new, top to bottom, inside out. We also have a completely brand new top to bottom AC system. So AC compressor, condenser, evaporator, orifice tube, receiver dryer, heater core. We have upgraded ignition system in here as well. So just a lot of really nice upgrades throughout. All the electrical stuff is done very well, all wire loomed, very clean. New battery, of course, intake. Like I said, guys, there's going to be a full list on the build sheet. There's your ARB air compressor for your lockers. You can see new condenser, new radiator. Another thing, so all the hardware that we use underneath our Jeeps, we replace every bit of hardware. So all the hardware, whether it's the you know, tie rod bars, whatever the case may be, it's all grade 10 hardware. meant to last forever, won't rust up. All the lights obviously are all upgraded. No condensation or oxidation on any of the lights. Now, if you wanted the navigation installed, the rear camera is already in there ready to go. So we'll go ahead and take this thing on a quick drive. So that instantly comes on. Your air compressor, you can hear that cutting on. So we will give you the current code for this, but you're able to, actually there's a current update going on. Let me get out of that. It's going to want it to update automatically. But so you got your Google Maps, obviously. I haven't even gone through and set all the preferences. So anything that you have on your iPhone, you have on here, your Spotify, iTunes Radio. That's what's really cool about this, is you're so used to working your phone, you just have a huge phone secure in the dash. That's, you know, what you have, which is really, really nice. Yeah, so let's get going. Everything, you know, electronic wise is pretty much new, if not fully tested, and works perfect. May be fighting the sun here. So another thing is, you know, this Jeep, those are the original miles with the chassis. Obviously, there's nothing on here with those miles. So we give all of our Jeep buyers the option to maintain the miles on the cluster. And it's usually about half and half that want to maintain the miles on there or set it back to zero. Being that it's a restored Jeep, we have no problem doing that. We just, of course, on the title, we'll have to put not actual miles, because, of course, those wouldn't be the actual miles. So most of your older restored vehicles are going to have the mileage go back to zero. So once again, that's up to you, whether you want to maintain the mileage on the cluster or set it back to zero. If you take a look at your, I know we're fading in and out here, but we're getting ready to pass the sun here shortly. Top right is your oil pressure, very important gauge on a Jeep. You'll see that it's got perfect oil pressure. Below that is your temperature. Jeeps have a tendency to run hot. This Jeep, as you see, will not get 1 degree above operating temperature. It'll probably be about 5 to 7 degrees behind. The steering on this, if you are an XJ owner, and you have a 34-inch tire and a 5-inch lift, you know that they are an absolute pain steering wise. This thing tracks completely straight, but more importantly, I'm going to show you here in a moment, I'm I'm gonna pull into a parking lot and show you how easy this thing is to turn. So even at an extremely slow speed, which typically there's a lot of friction, the hardest to turn something. I'm gonna go a little bit further up to do a full turn. So check this out, one finger on the wheel. Oh, you weren't able to check that out. I apologize, guys. Here we go. Literally one finger on the wheel. This thing takes no pressure to turn whatsoever. Very, very light steering. No rubbing, even at full turn. Once again, check out the oil pressure, top right. Let me zoom in a little bit for you guys. Let's get a little focus going on here. Perfect oil pressure. And most Jeeps run about 210. This one running a little bit cooler, which is always a good thing. So we've been riding this whole time without the radio on, without the air blowing for vent noise. And as you see, for a lifted Jeep with all the components, the bumpers, the winches, the tire carrier, the side rails, all the upgraded suspension, there's no clunking, no loud noises. When you hit a bump, it doesn't rattle and shake the entire cab. And that's what you get on 95% of Jeeps that have been lifted, because there's stuff not thoroughly done, not all the parts are in there, whatever the case may be. Once again, all gauges in check. All right, guys, please do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube as well, you know, YouTube is just where we host our videos. This is not the full advertisement. There's certain things that we don't put in here on purpose, whether it's price or whatever, because things change and we're not gonna make a whole new video because we decided to change a few things on the advertisement. So make sure to go to our website. It's davisautosports.com. I'll put a link in the description below. Keep in mind, while looking at this Jeep, we are about 2 years booked in building Jeeps. Now, with that said, we also have Jeeps always in our shop being built that eventually will come to market. So that doesn't mean it will take you necessarily 2 to 3 years to get a Jeep from us, but that's about our calendar. So once again, if you guys have any questions, 855-XJ Jeeps. That's 855-955-3377. Thank you.